This is a very important video on a slightly unusual topic for the Four Boxes Diner. Specifically, I want to talk about the importance of the manifesto written apparently by the woman who I think identified as a man. I don't want to get that wrong. Who identifies as a man who shot up the Nashville School in Nashville, Tennessee, and again wrote a detailed, apparently, manifesto of why she did it and her plans and all those details. It is extremely important that this information be released to the public, and I'll tell you why when we get back. Hey folks, I'm Mark Smith, host of the Four Boxes Diner, proud American gun owner, constitutional attorney, member of the United States Supreme Court Bar, and author of the brand new best-selling book, Disarmed: What the Ukraine War Teaches Americans About the Right to Bear Arms. Check that out on Audible and on Kindle, in addition to paperback. And of course, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Four Boxes Diner for additional Second Amendment information I cannot get out on video on a daily basis. All right, folks, this is a little bit different video here, but a very, very important video. Very important video. I want to put it into context first and then tell you what's going on. There is discussion in the state of Tennessee about adopting various forms of gun control, even though Tennessee is overwhelmingly a Republican state. One of the proponents of this, apparently, is Governor Bill Lee, the Republican governor from Tennessee, who claims to be motivated to have what's known as a special legislative session toward the end of August of this year, 2023, to discuss the issue of guns and red flag laws. Now, in this video, I'm not going to talk about the problems of red flag laws. I've done it before, and I will do it again. But I want to focus on one particular critical bit of information that must be repeated 1 million times in the state of Tennessee as I see it. And that is this. As of the filming of this video, the so-called manifesto by the woman who I believe claims to be a man who did the shooting and of course is now dead, Audrey Hale. Well, Hale wrote a detailed manifesto, apparently, so the reports say, of why she decided to shoot up this school, where she attended, I believe, what her motivations were, how she picked this as a target over other targets. Now, this manifesto is well known to exist. It's in the hands of law enforcement, also known as government, as of now. It has not seen the light of day. And yet here we are, and this is what's so important. It seems to me that under no set of circumstances should any Republican lawmaker even consider for 1 second the idea of any additional gun control law, including but not limited to red flag laws, talked about by Governor Bill Lee, unless and until this manifesto by the mass shooter is released to the public. Two main reasons why. First of all, why on earth would lawmakers and policymakers in any state, including obviously Tennessee, even consider addressing, endorsing or doing regulations or legislation addressing shootings such as what we saw in Nashville, unless and until the facts are made available to all of Americans and all the constituents in Tennessee and all the lawmakers? How on earth, for crying out loud, can anybody who's in charge of policy, including the Governor Bill Lee in Tennessee, possibly contemplate coming up with a plan to address the concerns and problems and dangers posed by the types of people that Audrey Hale was, unless you see the manifesto that lays out all the plans and the ideas and what motivated her? Because it may turn out that the problem, for all we know, was an issue of school security and not mental health. Who knows what it is? The point is, you cannot act without complete data, especially when that data exists and the government, that's right, the government, law enforcement, including, I believe, federal law enforcement, the same exact people that tell us, trust us, you can be disarmed, we can take your guns, we're going to keep the guns because you can trust us. Well, let me tell you this. In addition to the fact that you cannot effectuate good policy without all the relevant data, which the manifesto would help provide, you also have to keep in mind that to the extent that any government official in the state of Tennessee or beyond who argues for less Second Amendment rights, who argues that we can take away people's rights that we deign, in our personal opinion, in our view, are somehow a problem, we get to decide, even though we, the government, have the guns and we're not giving up our guns. To me, it's a level of distrust that I see. You cannot trust people that say, we're going to come up with a plan to disarm Americans, in this case, people from Tennessee, but we're not going to give you the information, including the Shooter's Manifesto, that lays out why and how they went about doing what Audrey Hale did. So in addition to bad public policy planning, it simply, to me, gives rise to deep, deep distrust as to why they're not turning this over. What is it about the manifesto and its contents that they don't want us as American citizens, law-abiding, Second Amendment supporting citizens, to see, and yet they want us to talk about gun control laws in August in Tennessee without access to this manifesto? So if I were down in Tennessee, which I'm not, I would not even contemplate or discuss anything touching on the issue of guns and gun control without seeing this manifesto. Now, I want to point out some hypocrisy here as I see it. I've just done a little bit of research here. I'm not a Tennessee expert, but I want to flag a couple stories involving a Nashville council member, whatever the Nashville council is. I'm sure you in Tennessee know what it is. Nashville council member Courtney Johnston. I'll put a link to some of these articles in this video. Nashville council member Courtney Johnson says that the Shooter's Manifesto is, quote, poses too much of a danger to the public to be released. This is what she apparently said according to a news report here, which I'll put a link to. Quote, what I was told is, now keep this in mind, here you have a Nashville council member who was apparently told what was in it. She didn't even see it. Because this is what she says, quote, what I was told is her manifesto was a blueprint on total destruction, and it was so detailed at the level of what she had planned that apparently she thinks it should not be turned out because, quote, that document in the wrong person's hands would be astronomically dangerous, is what she said. Okay, so that is the view, the opinion of a government official, Nashville council member Courtney Johnson. Now, I disagree with that opinion and that view. But here's what's interesting about Metro council member Courtney Johnston as well. I'll put a link to this article. Guess what Miss Johnson supports? You're going to be shocked. She is supporting Governor Bill Lee's discussion or idea to hold a special legislative session to address gun violence, mental health, and school safety. Courtney Johnson apparently wrote a letter which was sent to the governor and shared with Axios, this is an Axios article, as a quote-unquote rare example of a right-leaning Tennessee elected official demanding the state take action on guns. So here you have Miss Courtney Johnson on the one hand saying, you can't turn over the manifesto to Americans, to the public, because we can't trust you serfs, you losers, with this data. You're not, we, the government, get it. You don't get it because you're not good enough. We, the people, don't count. They, the government, count, apparently. And yet here she is saying, but, yeah, we don't have the manifesto. We don't have all the data about what was going on and the planning of Audrey Hale and why this occurred. But it's okay. We should have a big, big legislative session at the end of August in Tennessee to do something to take away rights of Americans who have a constitutional right to keep and bear arms. Yeah, think about it. The same person that says you shouldn't get the information you need is the same person that's saying, yes, let's have a legislative session to talk about gun control. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. And I hope you people down there in Tennessee, or up there in Tennessee, depending on your perspective, understand this and do not contemplate, and you make sure everyone in that state of Tennessee understands that no legislative session, no gun control law, nothing, nada, zero, until that manifesto is released. And if the government won't release it, there's a reason for it, as I see it. There's something in there they don't want us to know because it doesn't fit with some narrative, some agenda, whatever it may be, whatever it is. I can tell you, it is not this is my best guess, my best speculation. It is not in the best interest of American gun owners and constitutionalists or anyone that fears a growth or dangerous overreaching government in any respect. But only time will tell, but I hope you people down in Tennessee are aware of this, or up there in Tennessee are aware of this. And again, I hope you learned something here today at the Four Boxes Diner. If you haven't subscribed to the Four Boxes Diner, please do so. And we'll see you again here at the Four Boxes Diner.
Orders up. Table 2A.